What's up, guys? In the works, and we're playing some Medal of Honor 2010, a combat mission, which is one of the game types from Medal of Honor 2010. And we're going to talk a little bit about Warfighter. I'm going to play the trailer in just a second, but we're going to talk a little bit about game types and how game types can affect the feel of a game. Because one of the things that's really been on my mind lately is just how stale the first-person shooter market has gotten. It seems like every game is just the same, and I think one of the direct fixes developers could implement to fix that feeling would be to innovate a little bit on the terms of game types. And so we're going to take a look at the trailer here in just a second, and we're going to, I'm going to talk a little bit about the game types that I'd like to see come to Medal of Honor Warfighter, because one of the cool things about Medal of Honor 2010 was the combat missions. I felt like they were a little bit different than some of the game types we've seen. It was a blend of like a rush and conquest, because you either had to plant a bomb on a barrier, you had to control a sector for a set amount of times. It would have been nice if there was more maps for it. I mean, there was only, I think, 3 or 4 maps that really implemented it, but it was a nicely thought out game type. But let's take a look here at the trailer. This is the Tungwanan Jungle or something. It's a Philippine map. It looks pretty good to me. And the first thing I see right off the bat is how linear the maps look. So from what I think is this is going to be similar to the combat missions. And one of the things that really reminded me of was Bad Company 2 and how it was really point A to point B. And it was a lot different to me than Battlefield 3 in terms of rush. I think Bad Company 2 had a different feel to it in the rush department because the maps, although they were more spread out than what this trailer seems to kind of convey, I think Bad Company 2's maps were very, very end to end, and I think that's something that we're going to see here in Medal of Honor. And you can see all the different support chain, kill streak type things, whatever you want to call them, and they look pretty cool. And I highly doubt that there's going to be this much action in each game, but you can see just how choke point oriented Medal of Honor is going to be, and that's very similar to Medal of Honor's 2010's combat mission. So it's very frontline oriented. That's more so than Battlefield 3, where there's a lot of flanking routes. There's big vehicles. It's very choke point oriented, which to me, that's going to be what sets it apart from Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the game types, though. I have a feeling that combat mission is definitely going to be back, because it was one of the more popular game types, I think, out of Medal of Honor. I mean, granted, they only gave us 4 or 5 different choices. You had Team Assault, Sector Control, Combat Mission, and that actually might be it. I think there was 4 game types in total, so there wasn't a lot of variety. But I think if they play their cards right, if they come back with the Combat Mission, kind of spice it up a little bit, it can be really successful. Because, like I said, one of the things that kind of makes the market stale is developers' lack of innovation in terms of the game type department. Hate Call of Duty. If you hate Call of Duty, I kind of phrased that weirdly, but if you hate Call of Duty, I can understand why you're going to hate what I'm about to say, but they really do innovate in terms of game types. They really do introduce a lot of game types. They give you a lot of variety, and I think that's what maybe keeps Call of Duty fresher. And I think, some of these developers could take a page or two out of their book, because they introduce game types on the regular. You always see new playlists out there, and I'd like to see that implemented into an EA title, because EA is notorious for just taking the safe route. They always have the same old game types, and it was like that in Bad Company 2. Battlefield 3 kind of expanded a little bit, but like I said earlier, the game types are all pretty much similar. I mean, you either have Conquest, or you have, rush, or a squad-based rush, or you have a deathmatch. And, deathmatch to me, every game should have that, just because some people just want to run around and kill people. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, that's what first-person shooters are all about. But when you're going to introduce an objective game type, you've got to give us something different. You've got to mix it up a little bit. And I think that Medal of Honor Warfighter, for me to be successful, needs to come out with 3 or 4 good game types that are different from other first-person shooters. Because we see domination or conquest in all sorts of different types throughout all kinds of first-person shooters. I mean, that is the easiest to implement game type. And I mean, sector control is what it was called in this, and it was, just like any other type, game type like that. So it wasn't very innovative. Whereas the combat mission, there was a lot of thought that went into this. They were actually a lot of fun to play. They were a nice blend of objective and team. Granted, the spawns could be fixed a little bit, but it really gave you that frontline feel, and I think that's what Medal of Honor was going for, because you're a army operatives trying to infiltrate basically the strongholds of the Taliban, which is what they called it in this game. I know in some countries they edited that out, but it was a lot of fun, and I'd like to see Warfighter kind of implement that into their development, because I'm really hoping that it makes a return. And I'm kind of curious what they do with tanks, because the one weak aspect of combat mission were the tanks. The tanks feel really thrown in. There's really no way to repair them. There's really no way to keep them alive. They die very fast and they're not very effective. So I'd like to see where they go in the vehicle department, because vehicles were a lot of fun. It'd be nice if they implemented some sort of transport vehicles, maybe like a transport jeep or something like that, and I think that could be a blast in Medal of Honor. So I'm really looking forward to what they have to offer. Let me know what game types you guys might like to see. Do you have any ideas for a game type that you think would work in a title like Medal of Honor Warfighter? Because I think they really could use some help, because if they don't implement on that front, I don't think they're going to have a very fun time in terms of being a popular game, because you need something that's going to make people keep playing it, and I think that's key for their success going forward. But let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this short little combat mission, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.